And we are back. Thank you for joining us here at The Counselor. I am your host, Sheldon Stovall, and this is another day. I just want to remind you that we need you to subscribe to our channel. It's The Counselor, and it's a YouTube channel. You're going to be getting live updates every day. We're talking about real problems with real people and solving real issues. I want to thank everybody for all the views and the likes and the comments from day one of the show. We appreciate it. I just want to remind you to subscribe, because when you subscribe, it shows that people are interested in the subject matter, and I will be continuously on to visit you every day, Monday through Friday, between the hours of 10 and 12. Yeah, if you would like to be on the show, all you have to do is email me at promo, P-R-O-M-O, at thecounselor.live, or you can call in. My number is listed on my website, thecounselor.live. You can actually go to the website and you can call one of the producers, or you can slide up in one of my DMs. How about that? All right. I see quite a few people have us, by the way. And thank you guys for that. I try to get back to as many people I can. All right. So today we are talking about something that, of course, has been going on all around the world, and that's the COVID vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccination. Should I or should I not? Right? It's interesting with this country. If you kind of look back in history, it's always been an either or an or with this country. So I think it was back like probably in the early 1400s or 1500s, I'm sorry. It was the baptized or the non-baptized. It was the poor and the rich. Sometimes it even was black and white. As simple as that. Before we got all our different terminologies now that we're using that are politically correct. But yes, we often refer to ourselves as putting ourselves in the category. Now in 2022, it's are you vaccinated or not, or the non-vaccinated. So now we have another separation in this world that we're dealing with. And believe it or not, I've actually not been invited in certain people's houses unless they meant asking me that question at the door. Are you vaccinated? And then when I give my answer, it's either I'm turned away or I'm invited in. So it's important. So this week, we're going to be talking about myths and facts about the COVID-19 vaccination. And it's very important to be informed. It's very important to get information on wherever you can. I'm what they call an unbiased informant, because I want to do this in the seat of a counselor so I can motivate whoever I'm speaking with to, help, be comfortable with whatever decision you're going to make. Okay, so we're going to be talking about myths and facts of COVID vaccinations shortly. We also have 3 callers. One is a caller. We have one guest that's supposed to be here a little bit later on. I think she's having some issues, right? And then we have another caller who may do either video or call in, but they do want to talk about how this has affected their lives. One of the callers, she is a displaced worker. She was working in a field which requires the participants or the employees to get the vaccination, and she refused. And so therefore, she went to college. She did 6 years of college to be in the career she's been in. She's been in it for a long time. And now she finds herself displaced. She's now a displaced worker. All right. And then we have another young man who is living in programming, dealing with new people coming in and out, and is afraid to catch the virus, but he just doesn't understand it. And because of his religion and the beliefs that he's been raised to understand, he refused to take the COVID vaccination as well, which would possibly help his life go forward if he said yes. So that's a clear biblical dilemma where it's either heaven or hell, life or death. So we're going to have those conversations. So today I just wanted to kind of go over a couple things. Like I said, there are myths and facts, and I prepared this. And I remember when I did this, and for one of my classes, one of my group classes that I took for my CSU, and we did myths and facts about the effects of COVID, and I think it went really well. So, some of the most common myths is the ingredients in COVID-19 vaccinations are dangerous. And the fact is that nearly all the ingredients in the COVID-19 vaccines are also ingredients in many foods like fats, sugars, and salts. So I want to get my understanding of the COVID vaccination clear. From what I understand and the reading that I have done, the COVID vaccination is not the actual COVID virus that is being injected into your body. Now, I've heard that from many people. I've even heard that on some of these programs that I listen to on podcasts and some of the other YouTube channels that I'm subscribed to. So people have an understanding. Part of the non-vaccinated, the reason why they're not vaccinated, and I'm sorry I'm using that term on purpose, is because they're not educated on what's in it. They've been hearing different stories. So I want to be clear that the COVID is a virus. It's not a disease. And viruses have been around for a very long time. As children, as babies, we are injected with antibodies or a vaccine to help our bodies deal with it once we become exposed. And usually you're exposed as a child as soon as you're let out that hospital. Some people are exposed right after they get out the nursery, some children. So these viruses have been around for a very long time. And so I want you to understand that I hear people often say, I just can't wait till this goes away. The virus is not going away. It is going to be here even after we all die. And the next generation in 3003, okay, it's going to be here. It's a virus. They do not go away. They live. All right, so I do want to mention that. Another thing I want to mention is that a lot of people are they're misconstrued about a vaccination and what's in it. And as we read the facts, the ingredients may be dangerous. What the ingredients in the vaccine are what they would use to, and I'm just trying to use this in the best terminology I can, to they create symptoms, and it kind of teaches your body how to deal with these symptoms. So we often mention, the flu shot. Have you gotten your flu shot? It's not really a mandatory thing, but if you get a flu shot, which I got my first one 2 years ago, for the first time in my life, I wasn't sick. I don't really get sick, but I was working in a detox, and the head nurse, director of nursing, strongly recommended that I get my flu shot. And so I said, okay, let me try it out. She said, you know what? I'll give it to you right now. I said, okay, great, thanks. So it did burn a little bit as it went in. And nurses, by the way, you guys do a great job, injecting people with needles. That's an awesome thing, so all of us have different issues with it. But yeah, she did it, and I didn't feel any different. I was looking for myself to get sick. I heard, oh my God, if you never had the flu, you're going to get it because you took the flu shot. Same myths. So people, the myths are always going to be circulating about vaccinations. But truthfully, they're not injecting any particular COVID anything inside your body, just for those of you who do not understand that. They're not injecting anything in your body besides things that cause the symptoms. Okay? All right, so that's part of it. And again, if you have questions, you can go right into my comment box, and then we can always talk more about it. Another myth that I often heard was the natural immunity I get from being sick with COVID-19 is better than the immunity I get from the COVID-19 vaccination. All right, I've heard that quite a bit as well. And then the fact is, getting a COVID-19 vaccination is safer and more dependable way to build immunity to COVID-19 than getting sick with COVID-19. All right, so once again, yes, our bodies will naturally heal or start to fight. We're created, our DNA, our messenger DNA, it's all in there. The white blood cells, everything is already prepared for a foreign entity to enter your body. And once that foreign, whatever it is, enters your body, whether it's your bloodstream, your tissue, your body is going to start fighting. Those white blood cells are going to start gathering, growing. They're going to start flowing. That's how your body is naturally built to work. So unfortunately, when people have pre-existing conditions, it's not always that easily set. All right. Because their body may be already fighting things. For example, if, someone's T cell count is getting lower and lower, back in, I think it was the 80s, they couldn't fight HIV. And once it became AIDS, the person was counting their days out. And we found modern medicine has developed things to help you rebuild your T cells. So same thing with the COVID vaccination. Modern medicine, the vaccine is not made to cure it. I had a young lady I spoke to last week. We were preparing to do this show, but she couldn't make it because she ended up getting COVID. But she has preconditioning conditions. She has upper bronchial issues. She has bronchitis. She has asthma. And, it really takes her out when she has her asthma attacks and things like that. And so she, against all people telling her she shouldn't get it, she went and got the COVID vaccination. And not even a month later, she was exposed. And this was last month, and she was exposed with the COVID. And she ended up, having to fight with it at home. And, the emergency room, she went to a clinic. The clinic was full. It was a 6-hour wait, she explained. She went to the emergency room. There was a line out the door. And this was recently. This was not even a couple weeks ago, right before New Year's. So she was grateful that she went ahead and got the vaccination because the vaccine created the symptoms that the body needed to start building an avenue to fight. And so because of her pre-existing condition, when she did contract the COVID, she is alive today. She said she barely had any breathing issues at all, and her body began to fight it. She actually made it through the 5 days. Most of us had to sit for 14, but she made it through the 5 days, and she's doing better. So again, sometimes fighting myths are good, and sometimes just doing your own research is even better. I would advise anyone that if you are faced with situations where you're struggling with what am I going to do? Am I going to take this vaccination? Am I going to go to hell? There are some religious organizations out there that believe that it's the mark of the beast. Again, I'm going to be the unbiased person at this moment because I do understand all sides. They believe it's the mark of the beast, and they believe it's an injection. And then I want to talk about the mass media as well. Sometimes even the mass media is at fault. And I'm not going to blame all of this on the mass media, but there was when the COVID vaccination first was introduced to this country, and it was pretty much being boxed up and sent out to the pharmacies and the doctor's office, there was a meme that had over 19 views in 2 days. And it was an African-American woman, and she got the vaccination, and she was on her phone, and she said, I got the vaccine, and all of a sudden her face began to shape into a deer. Now, when I seen that, I laughed. I laughed so hard, I just kept playing it over and over again because I couldn't believe it. And as I stated, I had a group class that I took, and I happened to play that video in the beginning. And so we were talking about the vaccine, the myths and the facts, and I played the video, and other students didn't laugh. They didn't find it hilarious. And so instead, we all broke into little groups, and then they all came back. One group said, it's really offensive that they would have used an African-American woman to show the effects of getting the vaccination to turn to a deer. How many African Americans do you think have just seen that and became afraid, and it went into their head that they determined that they're not going to take it? I had to stop and think for a moment because as an African American man, I did not see that when I saw that video. But you know what? The students did, because you know what they saw? They saw fear mongering. They saw something else that if you had to look between the lines and see, only if you were looking for it, you can see it. And that's what they did see, is that this video were targeting minorities, as she explained in the class, and that she was trying, the government or whoever put this video out was trying to make someone afraid. And so I thought about that, and that does make a lot of sense. That's, the Tuskegee experiment was being brought back up on the news and different podcasts. And a lot of people, if you get a chance, take a look at the Tuskegee experiment. That was in Alabama. That was like in 1950s, where laboratories in different places were deliberately injecting African-American men with chlamydia. And being injected with the chlamydia, they wanted to see the effects of it. And not only to who they were having sex with, but also as it grew in the body, what the effects would be, like blindness, things like that. So that was going on. And a lot of these people didn't even know they had it. So, of course, again, fear mongering, people becoming afraid to get the vaccine based on what's being brought up. And I'm saying a particular community was targeted because that's what it seemed like when that video came out. So communities are targeted during situations like this, where, yes, myths are created. And these myths were created so fast that it brought a lot of fear. Then we had another gentleman who pretty much deciphered the COVID vaccination to be the mark of the beast. And that was the beginning of, I believe, April of 2020. Yes, I think after probably February, March in 2020, we had a gentleman with a 45-minute YouTube video telling us and showing us how the COVID-19 was prophesied in the Bible, and it is the mark of the beast. So anyone who is religious, who goes to church, who prays, that is something that would raise an eyebrow. I mean, I have a little bit of them left. It would raise an eyebrow and say, wait a minute, what do you mean the mark of the beast? So again, more fear mongering. All right. So we're going to keep going. Like I said, we're going to get to our guests a little bit, but I just wanted to kind of give my understanding of what is going on in 2022, 2 years later. Okay. COVID-19 vaccines cause variants. That's another one. I think we mentioned that a little bit. They're trying to say that your DNA is going to change. Okay. That's very interesting. I had a grown woman tell me that one day, that it changes your DNA. And I said, I'm sorry, you said it changes my DNA. So the government is going to produce a vaccine, and inside that vaccine is going to be a little chip that is going to go through my body and change my DNA. Now, I haven't done the full research on that yet, but I do have someone who is going to call into the show. I had asked her, she's going to do her very best to try to help us understand what that means. And she is, in my field, she's a forensic psychiatrist. So I would love to hear about that. All right. So the fact on that is COVID-19 vaccinations do not create or cause variants of the virus that cause COVID-19. Instead, COVID-19 vaccinations can help prevent new variants from emerging. So as this COVID-19 virus has literally become, two variants, I think, or 2 or 3 variants already. I know a booster shot had came out. We're going to talk about that. A booster shot came out, and people became afraid of that as well. They didn't know if they were putting too much of something in their body in 1 year. Because again, all of this is brand new and hasn't been tested. There's no real data. All real data is in real time. So the only thing we do is learn from history. But if history is happening right now in the future, this is what we're dealing with. So I want you guys to stay with me. I'll be right back with more information on the COVID. And again, if you would like to be part of this conversation, you can call in the show. The number's on my website, probably at the bottom of my page. You can also email us at promo@thecounselor.live, or you can slide up in my DMs. We'll be right back.